President Trump says he has authorized the CIA to conduct secret operations inside Venezuela, marking a major escalation in pressure against Venezuela's President Nicolás Maduro. Trump making the decision in an attempt to stop the flow of migrants and drugs from the South American nation.
So every time you see a boat and you feel badly, you say, wow, that's rough. It is rough, but if you lose 3 people and save 25,000 people, these are people that are killing our population.
The president also hinted at a possible land strike in Venezuela, which would be an escalation from the recent naval operations in the Caribbean. NewsNation national security contributor Tracy Walder joining us. She's a former CIA officer and FBI special agent. Your reaction to these moves and the threat for any action on land?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Marni. Listen, I think a lot of this is bluster in a way. If you are announcing a CIA covert operation, it's not covert operations anymore. I do think part of this is to obviously threaten Maduro. You know, his legitimacy internationally is very much questioned and criticized. But at the same time, it really does, in my opinion, put CIA officers who are stationed throughout Latin America at risk. And I would be very frustrated if I was a covert officer right now operating in any of these countries, because I essentially have been outed, if that makes any sense. In terms of a land invasion, again, I think a lot of this is discussion, is just talk to sort of threaten Maduro and to pressure him into essentially resigning.
In reaction to the outed comment, how does that then change their posture, their day-to-day work? Does that make things more challenging, and if so, how so?
Thank you so much for asking that question, because it is an excellent one. Listen, we spend all of our days when we are operating in a covert nature in these countries, constantly checking for surveillance, constantly ensuring that the assets that we are working with are protected. That is our number one job, is to make sure that they are not found out. And so the problem is now they are operating at sort of this heightened risk, if you will. And this could not only endanger CIA officers, but also the assets that we are working with in these countries, because they will have more surveillance on them, and that can get people killed on both sides.
Right now, Tracy, there are about 10,000 troops, mostly in Puerto Rico, 8 warships. There's a submarine in the Caribbean. What's the intended message of that?
I think the intended message is peace through strength, right? I really do. I think that's kind of core to Trump's foreign policy, essentially. And so I think putting them there, having that posture, and essentially, you know, he's fired on, I think it's 5 different ships now up to this point in terms of the drug trafficking routes. I think, again, a lot of this is threatening Maduro into doing essentially what he wants. And I'm not necessarily saying that that is a bad thing, but I do think a lot of it is posturing.
And what's been the response from Maduro, the Venezuelan government, through this, if anything?
I think the first thing that Maduro said was no coup d'etats here in Venezuela. And I do think that Trump was probably capitalizing on a lot of what the agency did, quite frankly, in the 80s and in the 90s in Central and South America, which was assist in coup d'etats. That's no secret. That's been discussed a lot. And so I think that's probably initially where Maduro went to. And I think that's exactly why President Trump stated that this is what he was doing, to put that threat of these CIA-led coup d'etats in his head.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.